Welcome to Audrey's World. I'm Audrey, and welcome to my world. It's a mix of my friends' worlds, my family's world, just people who I love, and I want you to get to know because I think they're cool, or I want to talk to them more. It's my time. I want to connect with them one-on-one. It's my world, and welcome to it. Audrey's World, I think of it as an audio visual diary in some ways. You're meeting the people I love, we're talking about our memories, we're laughing, we're getting to the bottom of something sometimes, but you're also hearing us go through struggles or just navigating life as typically I'll say 30-year-olds, but I have my demographics all over the place, and you get to hear us talk about things like dating, where we're living, why we chose that, navigating careers, passions, desires, hobbies, just trying to be happy and healthy and enjoy the life that we're having now. Those highs, those lows, the everything in between, the mundane, as us. I do really appreciate that my guests are honest and vulnerable and share some of the things that they're actually currently going through. That's why I think of it almost as a diary in some sense. But at the end of the day, I'm interviewing people who I love, who I think are cool, and who I think you should get to know too. This week, things are a little different. If you're a continuous listener, well then two things are colliding that I talk about often. One, my mom's side of the family. She is the youngest of 12 guys. It is cheaper by the dozen in that family. Things are wild, they're crazy, but calm at the same time. It's just interesting. And coming from a huge family like that, I mean, it's so fun and fascinating for a trillion different reasons. We are all so different, yet so the same. And we all look alike, yet we don't. It's just really, really funny. You get to meet three representatives of my mom's side of the family, including my mom, so be nice. And then I also talk about life at the lake. I love the lake. It's a place that I find really fun, yet relaxing and peaceful, and just a great place to rejuvenate and restore and be in the sun. I feel a little childlike and playful there. It's just where that fills up my cup in a lot of ways. So the two worlds are colliding. Over the 4th of July weekend, I was traveling to the lake with my family and brought the podcasting equipment to do an episode. So, 4 girls, 1 pod, life at the lake. I will say it's called Sylvia's World because that's the lake that we were on. And honestly, I just thought it was hilarious. So Sylvia, we love you. Thank you for the gift of the lake that you always give us, the energy, the vibes, the fun. We love you. We thank you. But that mostly goes to my Aunt Annette and her family too for hosting us every year. That's a little bit about what we have in store today, and I'm really excited for you all to hear that, to listen to some different perspectives in what happens really at the lake. Since I talk about my family and the lake so often, here's a little look behind the curtain. So with that, let's jump into the episode. So guys, tell me a little bit about your morning. What have we done so far at Lake Sylvia?
Good morning from Lake Sylvia. I had the best morning because I woke up. That's a good way to start the day, right? And then shortly thereafter, I was on a coffee cruise out on a boat on the lake by 6:35 a.m. So is there any better way to start my day?
No, good one. Good answer. Good
Top that.
answer. Because I decided not to go on the coffee cruise because I was just sitting in a chair, zoning through my iPad, scrolling while I looked at the lake. And I was by myself. So
Needed the alone time to start
was
the morning.
good. That was good.
I was on the coffee cruise as well. Since we are not around the lake very much, that is probably actually maybe my new favorite thing. I kind of decided.
Mhm.
I like a late night when we do that, but it was very peaceful. There weren't a ton of people on there, and Austin was very personable this morning. So
Yeah.
it was a very fun having Captain Austin cruise us around. So
Incredible.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm going to introduce everyone here. As you've heard in many podcast episodes, my mom is one of 12, and we have 3 family representatives here, and we are at 12 people in this house right now. So, you bring a small crew and the numbers just really fall no matter what. So, representing here, we have.
Hi, I'm Pam. I'm Audrey's mom.
Hi, I'm Annette. I'm Audrey's favorite aunt.
and I'm Letia representing Judy, one of the sisters, and I'm Audrey's cousin.
Lovely. So we have a lot of family here today. This is Aunt Annette's place. We've been coming here now for 15 years, which seems a little crazy.
It's crazy.
This is our 15th summer at the lake, which went really fast because it doesn't really feel like that. But
Yeah.
I agree.
Oh, and think about how our summers have evolved since the first summer get together here 15 years ago.
yeah.
Will you describe that first summer? Because it really has, things are quite different. So tell us about where we started at Lake Sylvia.
Okay, so it was classic. Of course, Audrey and her brother were much younger because it was 15 years ago. So we would drive from Ohio. We got here and there had been a storm that I don't recall if we got here and because we would usually arrive late at night because we had driven, 12, 13 hours. And there was either a bad storm once we got here or it had just stormed.
When after you were here. I feel like you were here one day and then that night we had a giant storm.
A giant storm, and it was so bad that all of the power went out in the cabin. And so what felt like days, I'm not sure if it was days, but
Yeah, 3 days.
3 days. Okay. And Audrey had a friend with her. So it was Audrey, Anthony, and Audrey's friend, and then Austin and Evan. We literally had to send them to Dairy Queen in town to brush their teeth and wash their face and use the restroom. So I'll just leave it at that. But the best thing is that was year 1 and we kept coming back. So
The bar, yeah, it's been funny. How has it been from a planning perspective? Because obviously there is quite a bit of planning, but the droves of people are coming in. So has it evolved, like your strategy, Annette, evolved with housing all of us for a few days?
I don't think my strategy has changed. I will say when the kids were younger, it was just put a whole bunch of twin air beds in one room and it was like a big dorm room and everybody kind of all slept together. And then now, you have adults and they have significant others. And so it's a little different because I don't just cram 6 people on air beds in the same room. But yeah, that's it. Other than that, it's just everybody knows. Like you never know where you're going to sleep, but you're going to have fun. So.
And then no one cares. No one cares when they come that you're going to sleep somewhere and it's about being together, I feel like. And you say that it's evolved, but I think it was 2 years ago when all of you guys, was it 2 years ago?
Oh, maybe 3 or 4. Yeah.
When I looked out into the downstairs area and it was like Audrey, Anthony, Kaylee, Austin, Evan, like in their little, like, I don't know. It was a moment where they all still looked little because they were all sleeping together in that one room. But then you really look at them and you're like, they're adults and they still love to do it.
Some things never change.
I know.
We still love a jumbie slumby. And,
I just want to be together.
but it is so true. I feel like the time here, like we're all just together on the boat playing games or doing something. No one gives a shit where they sleep as long as they get a few hours of sleep somewhere. So that's not a high priority.
Day or night.
Literally. Yeah. Let's set the scene on what's a traditional kind of lake weekend. What are some of the activities we're doing?
Well, we've decided that it seems to be we fall into some traditional roles, and the men go to the meat market, which doesn't sound like it's that big of a deal, but I feel as though we actually would like to go to the meat market next year. And we go to the grocery store. So I think that's a tradition that we're going to change 2026.
definitely every year and almost every day we load up the pontoon And that's like an event because we take the pontoon out on the lake, and used to be we were out there for hours and hours and hours. And as we've aged and grown maybe a little more wise, we've pared that back a little bit, but still we pack snacks and drinks, and then we take the pontoon out, and then we drop anchor, and everybody jumps in, and I'll let somebody else describe the art of diapering. But we have mastered that, and then that too has evolved over time. But especially for me, who, I don't live near a lake, it's like there's just nothing better than just literally hanging out in the water the majority of the day.
Yes, and diapering, for those of you who are not familiar, it's a deep lake, and we're always safety first, so we don't let people just jump in without a life-saving device with them. But it's a pain to like put on a life preserver if you want to just like float in the lake, because like it comes up by your ears. It's super uncomfortable. So what you do is you zip up the life preserver, but you put your legs through the armholes. So imagine a pair of hockey breezers, I'll just say, or a diaper. I mean, call it what you will. And then you jump in. And so you're still safe.
Unless you flip over.
But yeah, so, it's called diapering. It's very, very efficient and it works. But yeah, it's probably only seen on Minnesota lakes.
It's the best. And it allows you to hold a drink, which is very high priority at the lake this time of year. So everyone's biggest concern is making sure that they are dehydrating while in the lake.
Yeah. And can we talk about the guys' tradition at the lake? The deck that overlooks the lake, and there are actually 4 swivel chairs. And the 3 of our husbands, and then 1 or 2 of the other, like the kids, are male specifically, sitting out there usually for 5 to 6 hours a day, just looking at the lake and drinking. So
they've gotten the nickname the deck protectors. That's where they sit all day with a big giant Yeti cooler full of beverages right behind them, so they don't have to really get
Easily accessible. No one needs to walk far.
Snacks are on the table that traditionally maybe we grab for them. So yeah, they really don't move, and they're stationed there all day.
But we're safe
long.
because they are.
Yeah. No pirates coming in.
Right.
And I would say if there's one thing you take away from this episode, we're an efficient family.
Mm-hmm.
Always have to have food and snacks. So you don't actually have to get up.
We love it. Over the years too, I feel like a few years ago, we did like beer games in the yard. So we did a bunch of flip cup, pong. We've really expanded some of the activities we've done across the street. There's a little go-kart race. So the first few years that took up some time. There were almost some injuries. My favorite memory, my brother, who would, let's be honest, that's not his thing. So he was driving it, and I don't know, maybe got too nervous, got wrapped up in something, and he was making a turn, and he took his hands off the wheel and said, "Jesus, take the wheel." And he then just slowly started to run in towards a tree very safely, not high speed. But, there's memories like that too. Obviously a ton of bonfires. I know we have quite a few solid memories around the fire too.
Does anybody else at this table remember the year of the swim cap?
Well, yeah,
I cannot recall.
We're always here over the 4th of July. So for the longest time, anything that had a flag on it.
Oh yeah, red, white, and blue. Everything.
Yeah, we bought it. And I think one year someone found swim caps with a flag on the side. And let's just say they're not the most flattering. I'll be the first to say it. But we did sit around for quite an evening with swim caps on our heads.
Some of us embraced it more than others, I'll say.
But Letia is correct that, okay, I don't remember which summer that was. The following summer, I'm sitting on the dock and I'm like, what is that on the bottom of the lake? It's so weird. It's just like a white what? And it was a swim cap from the year before that someone had obviously tossed off their head into the lake, and it sat there quietly for a whole year until I pulled it out.
So the festivities, we love, the family loves a theme. I get it from somewhere, and I think it's this gene pool because, we gotta celebrate. I was hoping though, when around the fire, we have a lot of good ideas seem to stem from either the fire being in Minnesota or something. So I don't want to say business trends you can copy because this is us verbally copywriting them as I speak. But what are some of the great ideas that have, flown through our heads that we maybe don't want to take action on, but we know it's a gold mine?
Oh, we usually do s'mores when we're down by the bonfire. And one of Leisha's sons, Owen, who is not here this year, is like a gourmet chef. And he came up with all these, like, let's not do a traditional s'more. We did peanut butter. We tried all kinds of things. And so we decided that Owen needed to open a s'mores truck, like a food truck that was just all the different and I don't know, like it had some legs.
Oh yeah. I know. I mean, we were flying with the ideas between a peanut butter cup and then instead of a graham cracker, I think it was Rice Krispie squares. So I will say that might be one of my favorite traditions of the family is, although this is a relaxing weekend, I feel like we're all very creative and one person can say something that just sparks like ideas just start flowing and then we have a brilliant idea that we never act on. But I want you to know it was there. As a family, we made it work.
Yeah, and somebody probably stole it. Like every good idea you ever hear, that was probably our idea first.
So if there's a s'mores truck, it was because of us. Right. House away.
Well, and even the diapering, like we talked for years, like we should patent this idea. And then, lo and behold, now they're those saddle thingies, but it's the same concept. I will also say to the food truck idea, how many years ago? So Leisha's dad lives in Hawaii. So Leisha and her husband and the kids all went to Hawaii for a couple of weeks. Was that 3 years ago?
It was 5 years ago.
Okay. Well, time flies.
Yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun. So they had been to Hawaii for a couple of weeks and then we were all here and this whole food truck thing came up and Owen again was talking about Polynesian influenced foods and some things that they really like there. And we were talking about the food truck and I swear, I think this is the best food truck name ever. We decided he was going to own a food truck and it was going to be called Here Today, Gone to Maui. Fun. Here all day.
Okay. It was probably longer than 5 years ago. And I'm saying that because then he had to do a business plan in high school, his senior year. And his business plan was a Hawaiian storefront with the food truck. And I do believe he called it Here Today, Gone to Maui. And we had there's a new development in Dublin where we live. And he did the business plan. He had to present it in front of teachers and administration and everybody. He did a great job because he's great at talking. And literally 2 months later, there was a Hawaiian storefront restaurant that went up in Bridge Park.
No.
Yes. And Owen was like, I think they stole my idea.
Oh,
and I was like, that's very dramatic, Owen. I don't think they could do that, but
that's quick.
I know, but perhaps.
There's been a lot of like iterations of people in the family have come through as well. I feel like this is more of the core weekend, but has there been any groups of people have come together in the year that have been maybe not more special, but maybe more memorable?
What comes to mind though for me is I feel like some years it was like chaos here. I felt like we had 25 people in the house, and maybe it just
probably did. I mean, we did go a little overboard. I feel like in the beginning. I live in Minnesota, and most of the family lives in Ohio, and so 4th of July, nobody will ever come here in the winter, which I completely understand. And so 4th of July was like my chance to get family to come visit. And I used to just like throw the invitation to it was basically every single person who I in the family. And so, yeah, we went a little overboard. There were probably years when we had, 16 people in a house, which is ridiculous because we had 3 bedrooms at the time. So yeah, it did get to be a little too much, almost too much fun.
Yeah.
I want to retract. I do have a favorite weekend or 4th of July was when you guys were all younger and it was the Lizzie and Alicia didn't love each other escapade.
Yes,
Then
you're
they
right.
went to the concert and came back and we thought it was going to be just like this. Oh, the kids are getting away without the parents and they're going to a concert. And it turned into a sibling fight, and all of them came back and disheveled, extremely upset with each other. And we were all sitting around there drinking beverages, and they walked in, and it was like the whole house had exploded in like a 1 minute because this one was yelling at this one, and Austin was mad because they had to leave early, and Kaylee was mad because everybody else was mad, and it was just complete chaos. Do you remember that?
I don't think I was
I don't
here
know
that
if you
year.
were
I was
here.
not, or at
Okay.
least I wasn't here yet for that part. But I have sense for when people got more like open about finally not being as frustrated with that weekend, they had to leave the concert early because yeah, Lizzie and Alicia, they were the classic teenage sisters where
Yes.
too close in age where like they wanted and they were both into the same things and they like maybe wanted to have their own spotlight in it or something, but they were I don't know. They were both so different too. So things would just escalate very quickly in that part of the house and they could not spend a lot of time with each other without there being a huge fight that everyone was involved in. I was often told to be the peacemaker growing up with that, and it was a horrid job. But so in this instance, they were at a concert. It was supposed to be very fun. They had to leave early. No one was happy. Everyone was pissed at the car ride home. That
They stood beside each other, yeah. The sisters were sitting in the back because Austin and Kaylee were up front. So needless to say, it was although funny now, probably not that funny in the moment.
I always like to say it's in the moment, the one when you're pissed or like something went so unaccording to plan and you're just like in chaos. Those are the moments that you're always look back and have the most fun. Or it was like, oh my God, remember when we did that? Ha ha ha, that was hilarious. And like in the moment, you're like, this was my living hell. Get me out of this torture device. Any other like fun memories or anything when you think of the lake? What are some things that you think
I
of?
just think in general being around family. And so because not everybody is in Ohio anymore, it's kind of like you look so forward to being able to be together. And I would say it's an easy together. I
Oh,
mean,
for sure.
this is like in general when you're at the lake, it's just I don't know if it's just the core group. I don't know if it's just where you are. I mean, the lake is beautiful. They have all the fun things to do. You don't have to all do it together. That's it. I know we talk about that a lot, but it's kind of like this morning we got up and Pam and Austin and I are the ones that went on the coffee cruise. And then you had some that were starting to eat, some that were reading, some that were still sleeping. So it's never this moment where it's like, okay, everybody get up and let's go to breakfast. And I think that's one of my favorite things is how well we all it's very much like a dance. Even when we're getting ready for meals in the kitchen, everybody kind of knows, oh, this needs to get done, and I'll do this while they're working on something else. So I love coming up here for that reason, just being around everybody and enjoying each other. Really, there's always something funny that happens. So I will say that too.
Yeah, I agree. The first thing that came to mind for me is sadly, I work a lot and there's not a lot of places or times that I feel like I can totally just shut down. And for the most part, unless something, major comes up at work, we get here, it's like we just shut down and go out on the lake and play. And the other thing I will say is, oh my gosh, the laughs. Like I think we just laugh. We laugh more, or I laugh more here when we're all together. I don't know. We make fun of each other. But just have a great time together. It might just be stress for Annette, but we'll let her say.
Yeah.
No, it's not stress. I think it's just that this place where we have so much time together because we don't really leave the lake.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know if destination is the right word, but maybe once every 3 days we go up to the grocery store and we stock up on everything we could possibly eat for 3 days. And then like you get all those casual interactions. You get the first thing in the morning when somebody hasn't had coffee. You have the late at night spur of the moment silliness. But we stay. Like we're in one place, we're all together for 3 or 4 days, and you just never really know what to expect, but you just know every year is going to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seems like for everyone, maybe the common thread is some sort of like oasis in connectivity, like connectivity with each other, connectivity with the lake, and just getting outside, doing something a little different, but it's very chill, it's very calm. So that makes it almost like, yeah, a little oasis and obviously vacation time. Some people that you really enjoy. So how
For
can it go
sure.
wrong?
You cannot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so far so good. 15 years later, so far so good.
I did see there's one of your neighbors has a sign and it says like established in 1983 and I was thinking like oh my God, we're at year 15, like in a blink of an eye we'll be kind of at that status, you know, and like do we add a family sign, do we say how long we've been here, like, you know, what's
Stretched out. Yeah. 17 years and going strong, or
yeah.
Yeah.
One other thing, Leisha, that you said is like it is this dance of doing this, doing that, preparing for this, but also not everyone needing to do the same thing all the time, which is very much, I feel like, a core value of coming from a huge family, which is something that I think when you join or like have a spouse or a partner come into it, it takes them maybe a little bit to get used to the dance, but how do you feel people then adjust to coming into that groove?
I will say, I think most everybody in the family married well, right? So they naturally sort of just insert themselves in whatever way they feel comfortable doing that. And, that looks different for everybody. But, I think, I think about like the first year Nick was here with Kaylee, he was right in there helping making his famous eggs for breakfast and other things. But I think I think it's great because, and Katie, Evan's Katie is like, she's right here with all of us and part of it all. As I just don't ever feel like there's no significant other that has kind of sat on the outskirts or on the outer belt.
Yeah, and I think one of the benefits of being from a really big family is you sort of realize everybody is really different. And so like if one person is a little bit more outgoing and one person is a little bit more introverted, it's like, well, yeah, whatever. We've seen that. There's 100 of us. It's not like, sometimes in a small family, I think if people have, three people have very similar personalities and then a fourth different person comes in, it's harder. We're very different from a personality perspective. So whatever you are, you get to bring to the party and nobody really thinks too much about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I talk about sometimes how we had like age group, not cliques, but just like, that
Naturally.
you were
Yeah.
closer to an age with these three people. So that's kind of like your group. I do feel like it's personality wise too. Like maybe once you get a little bit older, then you find that personality group where you more click in or have more of those similar hobbies, interests, whatever it may be. And then that's the little group that then you kind of like move forward with then as you continue to grow in age. But I agree. I think it's a huge perk of a big family is that there's always a trillion things to do and no one's upset if you do something else, do your own thing and get a rally another group to do something else. Like there's no hurt feelings, no issue with that. It's very much like going with the flow, and I think it's one of the best characteristics that like I got from being a part of a huge family.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like we don't notice, because there's always so many, typically any family get together, there's so many people that, of course we can't all be doing the same thing at the same time. And so people do, everybody just does their own thing and it's all good.
I keep having visions of like different scenes from Cheaper by the Dozen almost where like I don't know, there is that rhythm and dance of people like trying different things, helping things around the house, and then you have some rebels sometimes who are, doing one thing or another. But do you feel like that's how like growing up felt
Oh yeah.
like that a part of the family?
I have two different looks on it because I can remember like as a kid and we didn't live in Ohio, and when we would come to visit for Christmases, how overwhelming it would be in the beginning to see these people maybe once or twice a year, and like just having them say, "That's your family. That's your family. This is we're all family," and you're like, "Okay, there's a lot of you." And so I mean, I can remember just like I said, being little and just when you're only around once or twice a year, being a little bit intimidated. Then when we moved here and being around it all the time, I could not imagine maybe growing up differently or growing up in a small family. So I feel like there are just shifts. You know what I mean? Like you have this group that will be going to play or going on the boat, and you have this group that will be playing pickleball, and then at some point it's never like everybody stays separate. Then the next thing you know, you're involved in the pickleball, and then the other ones are going to the boat. So it's just, I feel like it's constant movement, but it's relaxing all at the same time. So
Yeah, you took me back to when you lived in Colorado and came home once a year. I mean, it was like Alicia was like a spectacle. Like I was like, oh my God, we get, and I'm sure you felt so swarmed and like what the hell? Like people get away from me. But we wanted to like make the most of this 1 week or whatever period of time you were here. And yeah, that had to be wild.
How did your spouses feel coming? Like, is that how they felt coming in?
Yeah, there's some funny stories. I can't speak for Tim specifically. Well, I'll tell the story about the first like big family Sunday. It was just Sunday at mom's, but there was, all the local families were there and such. And it was Tim's first time meeting the extended family. And my brother Albert and his wife Maria were leaving, and they have two kids, Neil and Gina, and they were in they were in their car, and we do what we normally do out, everybody goes to the car to say goodbye. And Tim and I were at the window of the car, and Neil just pops his head from the back seat and says, "Aunt Pam, who's your dad?" And I mean, Tim was just like, "You gotta be kidding me." But it was just like, it's from the eyes of, I don't know if Neil was 8 at the time. I have no idea how old Neil was at the time, but it was just, I just think that's the funniest thing. And then I often think of our brother Darby's wife, she's also named Pam. And this was probably I've only heard her tell the story maybe in the last 10 years, but she was like, oh, I was so freaked out. Like the first holiday, because to set the stage, there are 7 girls and 5 boys in our family of 12. And Pam said she like looked at all of the girls and we all looked alike. And she said it just freaked her out to know it. She's still part of our family, so she's embraced it. But it's funny though, because we are the family, right? So we have our own perspective, but to hear others coming in like you think you're so normal and you're not normal at all, right?
Yeah. Yeah, do you remember what it was like bringing in Uncle Bill?
He's never said that it was hard. And I think part of that is because when you come to one of our big family get-togethers, it really just feels like you're coming to a party. It's just like, oh, well, they're having another party. They just all happen to be related. Yeah. It was hard for me to go to Bill's family, right? He has one brother. And I'm like, this is it? Oh, yeah. Who are we going to talk to all day long, right? I was just used to being able to go from this person to this person to this person to this person and, talk to 35 people over the course of a family get together. And I just had no experience with a really small family and just like, it was just that like all day we had to figure out things to talk about to the same people. So I think it was more of an adjustment for me than it was for him.
Did you go in with an outline?
I know. Right, I know, right?
I could see Annette like pulling out her nose.
The second time I went, I had like cards in my pocket of discussion topics. So we had some things like to keep us occupied all day long, yes.
That's funny. I know now for some of my other cousins who have brought family members in, they use like Facebook ahead of time, like, okay, a little pop quiz. These are who you really need to know. And then it's like, who is this quiz beforehand? Just so people are a little familiar, because I have heard from like the other partners and things. It is so overwhelming trying to figure out, wait, you're related to how? And it's not the small like, oh, I only have to learn 5 people's names. It's like, no, I literally have to learn 50 people's names.
Yeah, well, and even the relationship, like Alicia's my niece, but because I'm the youngest and my oldest sibling is 18 years older than me, like I'm much closer to Letia than I am older siblings. So just to put it into perspective, my oldest nephew is 3 months younger than me. So like I grew up hanging out with nieces and nephews as much as siblings. And so then you know that just compounds the weirdness of
Oh, yeah.
our family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would always call Leisha Aunt Leisha because she also had a daughter a year older than me. Like, try to just explain that to a 2-year-old. You can't. So it's just Aunt Leisha. But
Yeah.
And I'm laughing about that because when I describe coming up here, I'm always like, I'm going to my aunt's house. But I'm like, kind of feels more like a sister. Or if I'm talking about Audrey, I'll say Kaylee's cousin Audrey, and they're like, okay, and how is that? And I'm like, well, it's actually my cousin Audrey, but I go, I don't know why at this point we say Kaylee's cousin Audrey or Nathan and Owen, their cousin Audrey. So the yeah, the ages also, like you said, throws everybody into a tailspin when they're coming into the family. I do have a question now that you're saying this. Do you think we're all more outgoing because of the size of the family and knowing that like when you would go to holidays or even weekends like this? I don't think we have a quiet family and everybody's not opinionated in a negative way, but very talkative. So do you think it's because of like that's just our family, or do you think it's because of the size of the family? I'm intrigued by
Yeah.
how outgoing and how extroverted everybody is in their own way. Like no one's, I don't think we're all boisterous and that type of thing. But what I would say, there's some families that are very like very introverted. And I'm trying to think if there's anybody in the family that's what I would consider truly introverted.
I mean, I think there are some, but I think they certainly come out of their shell, if you will. Like there's certainly nobody that like just kind of sits and doesn't interact. I would say, we're such a large and quite frankly diverse family that I think we're all just super comfortable,
Around each other.
around diversity and talking about it and learning from it and things like that. And that I just think it's natural because it's easy to do that when it's family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Like, I think, there's the acceptance of difference because you're family. And I use this expression with my kids. I'm like, well, there's all kinds of squirrels in the family tree. Like, they're not all the same, but that probably does make us more tolerant and it makes us more accepting and more able to have conversations with whoever because we have those kinds of conversations with people all the time because they're family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
yeah. A part of me does kind of think that because we are in a bigger family, I feel like I learned how to, yeah, talk to older people different than me. And I do think that maybe makes you a little bit more extroverted because if you want to talk or if you want to connect with someone, like, I'm not gonna lie, I was terrified of all my uncles growing up and like would really try to divert from them, but they would talk to you. So then it's like, yes, I'm playing volleyball. Or, like I think it just forces you to like get really uncomfortable and talk to people who you might be intimidated by. And then I do think like if you want to speak, if you want to have something to say, I think you like flex that muscle in becoming extroverted a little bit because like people will talk over you or like someone will say something before you do. So I think if you want to be heard, like you kind of just learn like being like, So I don't know if that's a great habit of mine, but I know I do talk over people a lot. And I do think it's not because of that, but
no,
I
it
think
is. I
it's
feel
like a little bit because of that. And then I lived in a house with 8 other people in college. And like truly, if I wanted to get a word in there, I had to be screaming. But I think it forces you to speak to people who are different than you. And if you want to be heard, I think you do kind of have to be a little louder.
I think we're the more the merrier type of family too. So I'm kind of bringing this back to the lake and how many people are here. I can remember one of the first times Mark thinking like they're not going to want us and then potentially our 3 kids. Like that's +5. That's a lot of people. And
Bring it.
I know. And I just feel like because you're used to maybe 50 to 60 to 70, it's like, oh, 20, no problem. And he was just like, what? She really want, like, they really want that. And I don't think it's intimidating to have a get together that has 30 people or 20 people for 5 days. Like, that's nothing to other people. That's like let's hire an event planner type of a situation. So I think we're very good at just being super inclusive. Everybody's welcome. And like you said, you're going to make the best of it. You might be sleeping on the couch and you might be sleeping in a sleeping bag, but nobody really cares. So
I'm thinking quickly about Christmas and hosting Christmas for our family. The last year, the entire family got together and we hosted. We literally we had 84 people sit down and have dinner at our house. And when I tell people that, they're like it's incomprehensible. And quite frankly, now looking back, I'm like, wow, that was a lot, but it goes to the point you made earlier. Even like yes, we hosted, but I also had a family of resources that like stepped up and like, oh my gosh, the kids the night before would peel the potato. Like everybody kind of slipped into those roles again. Albert always made the prime rib. Everybody had a role and we just orchestrated it all. And so, this just comes with the territory. If we want the whole family together, we got to be able to feed 80 people.
Yeah, and people know that they have to contribute because it is a nightmare. And yeah, you know that, oh, we're bringing a side, we're bringing an app, we're bringing a dessert. Like, yeah, you just kind of have to help with those sorts of things if you want to make it not a successful event, but like make it run to any degree.
I'm just going to give a big shout out to Maria. So when I think about it's preparing for it and everything, but then my sister-in-law, Maria, Neil's mom, who's your dad. That now I'll never forget that night as, there's chaos ensuing across the house. She's like, will you please let me clean your house? It's like, say what? And we actually at the time had our apartment in Chicago. And so we were leaving like the next day to spend a week or whatever in Chicago. And she said, I'm serious. Like, will you let me clean your house? And so we did our standard, like tidy it up, of course, before we left. But then while we were gone, Maria came into the house and she literally cleaned the house from head to toe. We came home to a spotless home. And it's like, what family, but that's an example of, she recognized like, this is a lot to do. And I like to clean, so let me do my part. And that was like the greatest gift ever. Because I don't like to clean.
I should say, Aunt Maria, you can clean my house anytime.
Yeah. Yeah, it does go back to we all not know our roles, but like you go with your strengths and you just got to help contribute at some point. So I'm contributing with the podcast, but hopefully, I don't know, we'll look back and it was a painful moment, but we'll look back and say, hey, remember we did the podcast? It was so
That's
fun.
right. That's right. We'll be talking about this in 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I like to conclude with asking what everyone's dream world is. If we want to make it lake theme, I think that would be cute. But in general, I'd love to learn what your like dream.
First and foremost, like I'll go beyond family. I love this. It is, first of all, people are kind and considerate of each other. But then I'll just go like my dream lake world I would love it if we would have like personal boats, kind of like the Jetsons had their own little spaceships or whatever, but like a personal boat, so we could all go out on our own boat but still hang out together. And if one person has to come in for some reason, we don't all have to come in at the same time. And so that would be my one like dream piece.
Okay, so for the record, there is a kayak out there.
And a paddleboard.
You know me, my boat needs an engine.
Yeah, you're gonna kayak out to the middle of the boat.
Look at me, I don't even know how is it this? Is that how you
No, it's
Oh, that's funny. I like it though. I like the Jetsons visual. I guess mine is I'm gonna be honest, like my dream lake world is if you guys like lived a little closer and it wasn't just once a year. And that doesn't mean like every weekend, blah, 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 because there's something really special when you don't do something all the time. But I wish it was easier for you guys to get here just from a expense and time and, all of that kind of hoops that you guys all have to jump through to get here. And if we could just do it maybe twice a summer or something like that, that would be better. I mean, if you want to buy a place on the lake, that would be cool. But A little closer.
This could be our opportunity to crowdsource some funds.
Yeah.
For I believe there's a $5.5 million home on the lake for sale. So, Audrey,
And we're all going to share it.
if
So
you-
it's not like you have to do multiple.
Audrey just had a QR code.
Easily. Go to my link tree.
My Venmo is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say a similar thing is I guess my lake dream world would be to have almost like a little compound. Not that you're funding, but like if we had the property on the lake that we could each then kind of like build, you
A
build
little
what you
cabin.
want, you build what you want, and have little cabins so that there was a destination that it's kind of like if you have that already set up, then you're more inclined to do that more often. In a dream world, we could like snap my fingers and be at the lake on the compound with family. So I think it's, I mean, you could do it with friends, but like I said, I think we're all comfortable enough, and there's something different about doing it with family. You just get up and you don't care if your hair's a mess or if you're in a grumpy mood. You just tell them like, I'm grumpy today, and as their family, they have to accept it and move on. So I guess that would be my dream world. Probably in a bigger picture would be like with probably because I'm in a cancer hospital, but would be just that. Although we're setting up more and more facilities for infusions and it's a job security thing, it also makes me sad at the same time. So I just would like more studies and maybe figuring out as opposed to how to cure or treat the cancers, maybe like really what's happening that we could do differently so that more people either are not getting cancer or we're having a better understanding of why they're getting it so we can make changes.
Amen. Amen.
Love that. Yeah. I think my dream world too, lake wise, would be very similar. We all have a compound. I think it'd be so fun though. In my vision of the compound, there's like water that it's almost like we have our own islands and we could like jet ski to each other. And it's like, ooh, we're going to the Oyers Island. Oh, we're going to the Millers Island, like that sort of thing. And then
Fun.
we
I
like
like it.
invite people. Let's be honest, we're social people. So we want to
Oh.
have our friends, family, like more people come. So I just see this weekend just on extreme steroids if we have our own compound so that it's like, I'm bringing 5 of my friends. And that would be crazy, but I feel like it would get to Project X level a little fast, but I think that could be really
I mean,
dreamy
Hey,
for
dream
a
big.
year.
and I know, go big always.
And we can teleport there too.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
In our Jetson style.
Yeah, both.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So in addition to the boat, I do want the jet ski vehicle.
Well, it's a one vehicle can do both.
Oh,
Like one of those
ooh.
airplanes that can fly.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the top opens
Here we
up
go.
in there.
We're brainstorming again.
Gonna be out there in 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah. You heard it here first. Patent, copyright, all of it. Yeah. And then lastly, I mean, unfortunately, that's a little harsh. That's not our reality now. That's a little disappointing. So to maybe ease into that and end this on a upbeat, sort of not sad note, that's not our reality. Do you have a small win that you would like to celebrate? Pat yourself on the back for. Doesn't it? It's small. Cleaning out a closet.
Okay, I'm really proud of this small one because I'm an overpacker and I feel like I did not overpack for the first time coming to the lake. So
Nice.
when I get home, I'm not going to have 97 things to put away that I never wore.
Love.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow. And I'm over here thinking my small win is I only ate one bagel for breakfast.
There we go. It is. It's a win.
Oh, that's a good one.
Well, it was actually, and it was, of course, I ate 2 halves, not a whole, because mentally that's different.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Ooh, sorry.
Okay, well, my small win was going to be that my bagels turned out.
Well,
Yeah.
Sarah,
Because they don't always, but yeah, I made a batch of bagels and they turned out this morning. So that was
Really
a good
good.
win.
Yeah.
Really good.
Love it. And I will say I went out on the lily pad yesterday by myself, and that is my small win because getting on and off that thing without soaking myself or falling in the water did feel honestly like a big win. Yay.
well done.
Yay, Bod. Thanks, everyone. What did you think? What did you think of the fam? What do you think of the dynamics? Isn't it this dance that we have kind of funny? I love that was referred to a lot in the episode because I do feel like there really is this like rhythm dance vibe that you just flow into in the family. It's really based off of what you want to do, kind of your strengths and what's needed at that time. Sometimes it's getting out of the fucking kitchen. It's letting the people navigate that on their own and entertaining someone else. Sometimes it's just doing a quick in and out. Need help? Nope, you're navigating it. Great, I'll come back later, circle back. That's my family. That is life at the lake. I'd love to hear from you all and what your dream world is. So email me at audreysworld@gmail.com for your dream world. I'll read it on the air and we'll get to hear more about other people's dream worlds and kind of listen into the community to see if there's other takes that we haven't heard yet, or just learning what the vibe is, what all of our dream worlds are. And maybe we'll create like an Audrey's World collective dream world. Now that sounds fun and fancy and really fucking cool. So, write me. Type me. Alright guys, well you know what to do. Like, rate, review, comment, add some stars, tell your friends about it, answer the poll questions, do what you can to spread the word about Audrey's World if you are liking it. Don't worry, I'm on social media, so follow me there, check out that content. I know you all need your fix of Audrey's World content, and don't worry, there is something for you. Whether it's on YouTube watching these episodes visually, I got you. Maybe it is on TikTok or Instagram. I got you there too. For those who were watching this week, you got to see some maybe, I won't say technical difficulties, but navigating 4 girls, 1 pod, getting the swivel just right sometimes. The lighting was a little weird, but you know what? It was vacay mode. None of us really put a fit together. We weren't hair done, whatever. You were truly getting us all at our like self best, which is like lowbrow, low standards there. So obviously we were just enjoying the life, enjoying company, enjoying everything together. So if you are watching on YouTube, you get to see that. It's what it is. Thank you so much for tuning in. I sincerely appreciate it. And I will see you again next Tuesday. Love ya. Bye.